is 6:30. We'll let John fix this thing. 6:30 on 6/4. We will call the Planning Commission meeting to order. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call. I guess right now Darren's absent.
Yes.
So we'll make note of that. Roll of the Planning Commission. It's on the packet or on the agenda for those who want to read it. Next item, approval of agenda, item 4. Any changes or updates to the agenda?
No.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion from Paul, a second from Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Next item of business, consent agenda. Only item on here is Planning Commission minutes from May 7th.
No comments, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Paul, a second from Keith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Next item is open forum. Open forum is public comments listed, limited to 3 minutes for non-agenda items. Anyone here for open forum? All right. Moving on, council update, item 7.
Okay, so for May 12th, we had a discussion on a letter we received from Rogers and Maple Grove regarding, they wanted to know what we are doing with our fire department to improve responses. There was a park passport program that the Park Commission put together, and they just wanted us to kind of look at it, and it was pretty well received. Quarterly report, nothing significant out of that. We do have an opening now for our watershed representative. The one was doing it had moved out of the city, and the council felt we should have somebody that lives in the city. So that is open right now. The Legacy Woods Development DA was approved. River Hills Forest Main, there was a removal of the old main. Is that kind of how it was?
There was a temporary line
Temporary,
installed
yeah.
early on the project, and the downstream got constructed, so we can get rid of this.
So that was approved May 26th. There was discussion on, so we did receive a grant from the state regarding the northwest water tower for the old village. So there was some discussion about what that would look like, kind of where it's going to go, the costs. We got our resident survey back. And we did a similar survey 2 years ago. So there was a lot of topics covered in that. And we got a proposed assisted living facility. That's the one behind Raintree Plaza. The only, I think, actually, what you guys had seen is pretty much what got, so there's a site plan. That was approved. There was a discussion of making that an 8-foot opaque fence, and a future agenda item for probably this commission and us regarding buffering between residential and non-residential, adjusting those things. So there was also discussion about a possible moratorium on that type of development, but staff was going to look at that. The accessory building ordinance for shipping containers was not approved. There were 2 of us for it, 2 of us against it, and 1 was going to make up his own recipes, so there was nothing that got passed. The AAW for curbside waste was approved with some adjustments to the wording. There was some services that they had mentioned in there that nobody was comfortable with, so they were adjusted. And then there was a letter of support for, I think it was the county to get some regional funding for the bike path along Highway 12 when it's redone. And that's it.
Any questions or comments for Mayor? I do have a couple. So the watershed, the person for the watershed,
Yep.
do we, and this is maybe geared towards staff, do we have a posting out there similar to commissions?
It was going
Noticed
to,
one.
but I don't know. I don't know if it did already. It was?
We'll look before the end of the meeting.
Okay. I think it'd be good to know, not only, I think Dayton's evolved enough where I think it'd be good to know, to have a posting similar to planning and parks of like what the requirements are and who we want on there, what type of background.
Yep.
I think that'd be good. The other question I had on the force main, was that a removal or was that an abandonment?
Little of both.
Okay.
So we severed at a structure, abandoned the existing pipe, and
Okay.
then rerouted it. So
Okay.
the disturbance was a very small area.
Just curious.
Yeah, we did fill it.
Yeah.
We blew sand.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we do not have it on our website.
Okay. All right, that's all I had.
I think staff was going to post it like an opening on a commission. I just don't know what that entails, so.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you're
Well,
right, we want somebody who's got a clue.
Knowledgeable and or passionate
Yep,
would be my recommendation.
yeah.
All right. With that, we'll move on to item 8A, public hearing for the amending the PUD and preliminary plat of DCM Farms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Planning Commission. This is a request by Tom Dean of Sundance Woods to amend the preliminary plat and planned unit development of DCM Farms. The preliminary plat and planned unit development of DCM Farms was approved in April of 2025. The first edition of the final plat was approved in July of 2025, and the second edition of the development was approved in March of 2026, though it has not yet been filed. This request will impact the 40 and 45-foot lots in the northeast corner of DCM Farms second edition. So that's this area in this red square right here. This area is 16.7 acres. 33 of the lots within this area are 40 feet in width, and 35 of the lots are 40 feet in width. The developer is not proposing any additional lots or additional structures with this PUD and preliminary plat amendment. This is a quick look at the plat as it is currently, or the preliminary plat as it is currently approved. You will see that these are the 40-foot lots right here in this middle section. There's an alley that runs between them. They're alley loaded with garages going to the alley side, and they're enclosed in an outlot in this current rendition of the plat. On the outside here are those 45-foot width lots. PUDs, or planned unit developments, allow flexibility from city code requirements in exchange for public benefits. The public benefit associated with the DCM Farms plat, to my understanding, was the roundabout approvals or the roundabout contributions towards that and some other road work. The PUD of DCM Farms was approved with flexibility from the standards in the R3 zoning district to allow for reduced lot sizes and setbacks. The applicant is requesting additional flexibility to allow the construction of patios on the 40-foot lots and create some more usable side yard space on those 40-foot lots. The applicant is also requesting to establish the setbacks for the 40 and 45-foot lots that were not explicitly requested during the initial PUD approval, but were shown on the plans. They just weren't dimensioned out on the title sheet. Therefore, they were not included specifically in that resolution for the PUD. This would allow MI Homes, which is a builder within the DCM Farms development, to construct their standard product on these 40 and 45-foot lots. Right here on the side, you'll see this is the flexibility that they're requesting. I'll go over each of these things more in depth. The light yellow highlights are things that were already approved within the PUD and preliminary plat approval, and then these dark yellow highlights are things that the developer is asking, or the applicant is requesting in this PUD amendment. The first request is to allow the 40-foot wide lots to have a side yard setback of 12 feet on the patio side and 3 feet on the non-patio side. This lot right here with the yellow star by it is a good example of most of the things that the applicant is asking for. Somebody pointing here a lot. Currently, the PUD and the R3 zoning district require a 7.5-foot setback on both sides of a property. So this is requesting 3 feet on the non-patio side and 12 feet on the patio side. You can see here this would be 3 feet, and this right here, this is actually shown as 13 feet, but there are some lots where it would be 12 feet, so that's why they're requesting that 12 feet. Within this 3-foot easement, or 3-foot setback here, there would be a drainage and utility easement. And then on this side with the patio, there would be a 7-foot drainage and utility easement. So combined, when you have a patio side and a non-patio side together, that would be that standard 10-foot drainage and utility easement that we see on the plat currently. This also maintains, in this case, 16 feet of building separation. On those lots that would have that 12-foot setback, that would be 15 feet of building separation. So that is what's currently approved in the PUD and the R3 zoning district with that 7.5-foot setback. So they're pretty much just looking at shifting lot lines to allow more usable side yard area. You're still maintaining that 10-foot drainage and utility easement and that 16-foot, 15-foot setback on those sides. The second request is to allow the 40-foot wide lots to have a side yard setback of 7 feet for decks and attached open structures. The PUD currently requires 7.5 feet on both sides. Again, this would allow that, a deck or a pergola to go into that patio area if a homeowner were to wish to build one of those. So that's reducing the setback by 0.5 of a foot to allow additional construction in that area for a deck or a pergola, something like that. The third request is to allow the 40-foot wide lots to have a front yard, rear yard, and side yard corner lot setback of 15 feet. You'll see that dimensioned here on this lot and on this lot. There's also 2 more lots on the northern side of this that would have that setback. The PUD currently requires 25 feet for that side yard corner lot setback and the front and rear setbacks. This was something that was shown on the initial preliminary plat, but it was not clearly dimensioned on the title sheet and was something that was missed when we were putting together the final plat or the final PUD approval. So it was not included on there. So we're looking at just getting that setback as it was shown on the plans included in the PUD approvals. The fourth request is to allow a side yard corner lot setback of 20 feet on the lots that are that have the star on them. So these are those corner lots that are 40 feet wide or 45 feet wide. The current PUD requires a corner side yard setback of 25 feet on these lots, though it is interesting the R3 district, which is that base zoning district for this PUD, only requires a side yard setback of 20 feet. So the PUD actually goes above and beyond what's required. Was not able to find any reasoning why that was added or if that was just an oversight. This again was something that was not requested during the PUD approval, but was shown on the preliminary plat was that 20-foot setback. The fifth request is to allow the 40-foot wide lots to have a maximum garage width of 0% of the building frontage on the public street side and 100% of the building frontage on the private street or the alley side. And also to allow the 45-foot wide lots to have a maximum garage width of 72% of the building frontage on their street side. So these 40-foot lots, all the garages would face the alley. There is no visible garage from a public street. So this side would have 0%. This would be theoretically 100% garage. And then this request would allow all of these 45-foot lots to have 72% of their street-facing building frontage be garage. This is because MI Homes standard product has a garage that is slightly wider than that 70% allowance. The reason that 70% is in the code is to prevent homes from looking like they're mostly garage. So that helps maintain some of the home character of structures. So they're asking for a 2% increase on the garage linear facing allowance for those homes. So in summary, that was a lot of information. What a big request with this is to shift the lot lines. They're still maintaining that 10-foot drainage and utility easement as approved with the current preliminary plat. Same with the building separation. Currently approved, they're allowed to go 15 feet between buildings, 7.5 on each side. Now they're asking for 3 feet on one side, or one property line, 12 feet on the other property line. That's still that 15 feet of building separation. And then this also creates more usable side yard area. Again, looking, you have 13 feet of side yard in one area, and about 6 of that is usable for that patio. So that does create more usable area that somebody could put a patio or a small deck in. The building official and the city engineer did review this. The city engineer had no comments regarding the preliminary plat amendment. The building official did point out that homes with a setback less than 5 feet from the property line would be required to have a 1-hour fire-rated wall on that property line side. This is because the building code measures separation from the property line, not from the nearest building. So MI homes, when they go to apply for their building permits, if this is approved, they would have to provide proof of that fire rating. So that can be approved by the building official. Again, the buildings are not getting any closer together. We just measure to the property line instead of the next building in a case like this. So to also think about driveway length, since one of the requests is to reduce that front and rear setback. For these 40-foot lots, a condition has been added to require, as you would see here, a 22-foot distance between the curb and the start of the garage. So it'd be 15 feet to the property line, but they would be required to have a 22-foot long driveway when it's measured to the curb. The Planning Commission is requested to hold a public hearing and provide a recommendation to the City Council on this matter. The Planning Commission may recommend approval, recommend denial with reasoning, or table this item for more information. Staff recommends approval of this item with conditions referenced in the staff report and the resolution. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
And just to reiterate, so from when this was approved originally, there's no additional homes. All the houses are in the same footprint. Nothing is changing except for the property lines. They're shifting a little bit.
And then adding some of those setbacks that were shown but weren't dimensioned out and included into the preliminary or the PUD approval. And then that table is in your packet too of or it's in the resolution of what it would look like now with those things added.
All right.
Is there a setback required to the patio from the property line?
So the patio can't go into the drainage and utility easement, so there's not a patio setback. They could build up to the DNU easement, so that would be a 7 foot.
7 foot.
Yeah, 7 foot.
I guess the only other question I would have is that obviously with the PUD, there's the need for the public benefit. If there's flexibility given in the PUD, now that there's more flexibility requested, is staff okay still that there's enough of a public benefit to support the additional flexibility that this PUD will provide?
Yes.
Got it.
So with the shifting of the property lines on the side yards, what it does is it makes the side yard more functional. You know, it's now going to be big enough you can have a patio, at least on one side of the yard, because it's not going to fit in the back or the front.
How does that affect the public, though? You're talking
That's-
about,
yeah.
you're talking about making someone's yard.
Right, so I would say that's probably.
Well, you're talking about
private
making
benefit.
that lot more valuable. Because if I'm buying a house and I can't have a patio, and then you tell me I'm buying the same house on the same lot, but now it's moved over and now I can have that patio, that's not a benefit to the city, that's a benefit to the person that's selling the house.
Correct, so the public
home
benefit,
buyer.
public
And the home
benefit
buyer.
is
Or the home, and the home buyer, right.
John, what was the original public benefit?
So the public benefit for this project is funds funding the roundabout, and then funds towards the Fernbrook corridor, and then plus additional landscaping, not in this area of the development, but more in the single-family homes, the larger homes.
That's a done deal though, right? I mean, those funds have already been promised to the city.
Yes.
Based on the permissions and the original.
There's not an additional public
That's my
benefit
point.
with this project, with this amendment.
And that's why I asked that question. Does staff feel that initial public benefit is still sufficient to support the required or the requested additional flexibilities? My personal opinion is that the additional flexibilities are essentially just shifting what could have been there anyway. You're shifting it on the lot to make them a lot more usable to potential or future residents of Dayton. So I would think that that is a good benefit for residents that are going to be moving into Dayton, that they have a more usable lot to live on. So I am supportive that the benefit still is sufficient.
Any more questions or comments?
Just one more, I know that you said the building official took a look at the setbacks. Did the fire department have any input on that as well? I know it's kind of a fire code type of thing, but I'm sure they would have the same comments. Did they have any additional comments?
They did not have any additional comments. That was something that we discussed in our development review meeting, so the fire official was there.
All right, with that, it is 6:51. We will open the public hearing. Would the applicant like to come forward first?
Good evening, how are you guys doing?
Good evening.
I'm going to ask Jason to come up, Jason Peterwolf, he's with MI. So I think as we you know.
You want name and address?
Name and address.
Yeah.
Tom Dean, 11261 from Brook Lane, Dayton.
Jason Meadowolf, 15651 Creekside Lane, Dayton.
Thank you.
So I think as we came back, if you look at the plan and the footprint, is not changing. And there was just, I think after Jason, we had the sketches for you on the plans that we proposed, and really the front elevations, everything are the same. And I think, as I've been after them to try to, not only the LP, but build a little nicer house, and then as they're looking, and as they were finalizing or really building the plan specific for this project, the thought process, well, hey, if we could do this little patio. And so then, at the time, we thought, well, we can shift some easements, and that will work. It's just a small concrete patio going out. Every house will have that patio. It's going to be standard. Now, as Grace mentioned, maybe an option would be a pergola off of it. But we did come in, some other of Jason's staff and we met with city staff, and as we were kind of brainstorming it, and I don't even know, I think it may have been John, but it came as like, you know what, we still have the houses 15 feet apart. Would it just make sense to offset it? And then we don't have to, part of it would have been sharing an easement with a neighbor, and everybody would have had an easement. And, then, although easements are legal documents, right, those are things that neighbors fight over, right? You're in my yard, no, I got an easement, right? And so I think as we sat and we, thought about it, we thought, well, could we just offset it, right? And so it still has the same layout, right? The houses per code are still 15 feet apart. The really only additional thing from MI is they do have that one wall of fire code, and that's really based on, really the state's probably figuring houses that are really 5 feet and another one 5 feet away, right? So we have, that's really probably a moot point, but if state fire code has it, what do you do? So that's the only thing we really But I think as we just thought about it, and maybe Jason can share, and about, what they're trying to build for the buyer, is fine.
Yeah, we just wanted to do something unique, just something that draws to that. And we've done it in other places, maybe a little bit different variations, but just felt gives a more usable yard. The side's kind of nice, your private area. Yeah, just felt like want to do something unique over there and make them, something that people want to live in, nice homes and a good feeling to it. And yeah, I think that was the main thing of it, was just to create something that we thought would be valuable for a resident that wanted to live there, and versus having, your standards and, and not have much side yard or backyard, just being at their alley, the type of home it is. So that's what the goal was.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the windows that are on that side are utility windows, they're not viewing windows from the opposite home, right?
Yeah, we're finalizing the plans, but yes, it wouldn't be the big picture windows.
Yeah.
It'd be more so, we'll take that into consideration as we place them.
I mean, it looks like from the sketches, it's
The smaller.
it's smaller windows in the entryway, the bathroom, the laundry room.
Yep.
Not your bedroom windows, not your living room windows, so.
Yeah.
That'd become a rated wall then though, so are you putting in rated openings, rated glass? Windows, or are you taking the windows out for the rated wall? Because you have to do a 1 hour exterior rated wall now. So your openings would have to be protected.
The building code was required.
Yeah, well, the building code, I don't know if it would allow any openings within 3 feet of a property line. So you might have to remove all those windows, and then is that a benefit to the homeowners to lose north light if they're all on the north side? Are you facing all the patios in the same direction then? So they're all on the south side?
For the plan, I think there's a couple that didn't work, and we had to go to the other side, but yes, for the most part, they follow the similar pattern. But that's something we'll have to work through if that's the case.
Do you think there's enough design variety with the houses if you have them all kind of justified the same direction with the patio on the same side, that it's not going to be the exact same house all the way down the row?
Yeah, we have monotony rules and different types of things, and we take a lot of pride in our home look, and I think we do a really good job with that. So as far as the consistency with the side patio, yes, they'll all the side the same patio, but each home will be its own. And then the people can add a pergola or do some other types of things to, customize it also and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not to be argumentative, but Billy, you'd have just 2 straight walls anyhow. Now you're gonna have a patio.
Yeah.
So I think I would say it's a horse piece. It's the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, it could be just one of the straight walls, literally, it might not have any windows if you have to have the 1 hour rating. So now you have a long, just flat wall. Is there any additional landscaping that could be offered to homeowners or something in that area? Or maybe if it's in the easement, you can't, but just to break that up?
We can look
I
into
don't
that.
know.
Yeah, so within the side yard easement, we do allow landscaping, so I think in conversations with the builder, I think you typically have like a 2-foot landscaping.
Yeah, we'd have the buffer strip, the maintenance area, and then, yeah, we can look into other things.
Well, I wonder, we just assumed on the sheetrock there, why argue, but maybe we should have a conversation, and we could do that with the fire chief, because I do think that property line is based off of structure, distance, and we still are gonna have that 15-foot structure difference. I'm just thinking rationale-wise, but, my code might be code, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we're planning to look into as well, because it is, I think we're still, 13 feet apart or so. It's technically not, it's the lot line, and, code's code, and if that's what we have to do, that's what we'll do. But if there's options or different ways that we can handle that.
Yeah, I think the layout is still the same. There isn't any structures closer
No.
than 15 feet, right? You're not
No.
you're not adding the other part of the yard, so 15 is the minimum.
It's the lot line.
Yeah,
And for some context on the building official's comment, he did provide a comment on the windows and openings. I don't have that in front of me right now, but when I was putting together the report, I believe I looked at that, and that was not explicitly called out, because I think if it's less than 3 feet, the openings have to be rated. So that's my understanding. I can send you guys some more information on that, too, if you'd like.
Yeah. I'm not a residential architect, but if it's less than 3 feet to 3'1", so you can make sure you have windows.
Gotta make
Yeah.
sure we said it.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, especially when you have these detached kind of townhome villas, like having natural light on all 4 sides, I mean, that's the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
I
as
think
opposed
we did
to
design,
connected
no doubt.
townhomes.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll do everything we can to get.
Yeah,
to get-
because even that north light provides a lot of value
For
to a
sure.
space, so,
100%,
yeah. I'd hate to give up that to just give people a patio, because I do agree with fellow commissioner that patio space would be a nice improvement to the neighborhood, because it's a lot of tight houses, and you've got the front kind of patio porch area, but there's not a lot of, there's no private space otherwise.
And
So-
I don't know, even if you took the plan and went to 24 and a half, right? I mean, we have 25 feet to work with. I don't,
We'll
and I
figure it
looked the
out.
plan.
Yeah.
We'll make
Yeah.
sure we
Yeah.
can get.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting, though, that there is no private space for these homes because we've got them crammed so close together. I mean, how do you find, I don't know that if somebody's buying a home like this, that they're buying it because they want private space. I mean, they're all crammed in. I mean, it's going to be probably
Yeah, they
the
don't want
the
yard
heaviest
maintenance
developed, crammed-in area in the whole city, so.
Yeah.
I think they're buying what they can afford, and I think, providing that space and something they can afford, what makes sense for them is, I think is what we're looking for.
I think also it's an area, right? I mean, are they really, say you have a single family and you got your, 14 by 14, 12 by 16 deck, right? This is here probably just to put a grill out, you want to grill, and it's, I don't think it's gonna, it has some function and a little, space, but I don't think you can, it's not like you're gonna have a big gathering out there with a bunch of people.
Yeah, a couple of chairs out there. And
Personal use could-
beverage on a nice,
Yeah.
nice-
Personal
nice
use
day.
could be relatively high, and that's
Yes.
what
Yep.
I like about this redesign, is you're creating a semi-private space compared to what it was before. Because before you had 7.5 feet, and you could have, this is an HOA property where I'm assuming the exterior lawn care is gonna be covered by the HOA.
Yep.
We're,
Where you-
we're just to be 100% clear on that, we're in the midst on that as we head towards it. HOA, it's HOA, it'll be an association.
Yep.
We're just working through the final details on whether or not, if the buyer's gonna want the lawn maintenance aspect of it.
And if you didn't want the lawn maintenance, if you chose not to go that route, it'd be even worse off if it was 7.5 on each side, because you might have one owner that doesn't just take care of their lawn, where at least now you have your own private backyard for the most part.
Yes.
With the HOA, how are you handling exterior maintenance, like the siding?
The siding is on each individual homeowner.
It is.
Yep. They'll be responsible for the maintenance of the exterior of their home, of the siding, just like any type of
Yep.
single family.
Are there going to be covenants or agreements somehow where when it needs to be replaced, that they can obviously encroach onto the neighbor's property?
Yeah, we'll include reciprocal easements so that each person has access to the full easement.
15
area.
or whatever,
Yeah.
Yep.
So that, if someone has a project or doing that, and we've done that many places before. I think we probably had that at River Hills, I would think, as well.
Okay.
Some of those ones over there. But yes, we would take that, or we would have something to address.
And some of it we thought a little bit, right, at first was like, well, let's, all the houses will have porches or whatever. Well, then, kind of appearance is that to have, grills and all that. But there'll be some, sitting there. So I just felt, when they mentioned that, it'd be, that's why I'm supportive of it up here.
Yep. Do you foresee potentially allowing a privacy fence by this patio?
I would say yes, and I thought about that in a couple different aspects, and I think to really dial in on how we'll handle that, I think we'd work with staff and just see, to make sure that what we would propose to do works in the parameters of what's allowed and what's permitted.
And oftentimes, right, with twin homes or quads, you see privacy fences between
That's what I was asking.
patios, so it's not uncommon in this type of product.
Yeah, we would offer something like that.
So although the side yard's gonna be small, it's just, when you have a product like this, I'm supportive of the plan largely because it's creating a more private and bigger side yard for every future resident of Dayton.
Well, appreciate that. We're excited about it.
Anything else on the side yard? Okay, next item was the corner side yard setback for the 45-foot lots. So if I understand this correctly, R3 zoning allows for the 20-foot? And they're,
Yeah, so for the 45-foot lots, R3 typically allows for that 20-foot. Can't really find any reasoning why 25 was put in the PUD approval, but that's what it currently is.
so,
I think we was an error just from all of us, my engineer, me looking at city, just because the rest of the
Yeah.
stat, right, the rest of the neighborhood has more single family, and that's where we're looking, you know, it was just the standard setback. And I've, you know, from how it was drawn, we just didn't label it well enough.
yeah. I guess any conversation around that one? Okay. Garage widths was the next item. Percentage wise, and you guys gave some examples in the packet. Any concerns or things to talk about there?
To maybe just put it in perspective, the 2% variance, what's that in feet?
It would just give us it's a couple more elevations that work, so just, you know.
Yeah, are we even talking an extra foot?
Shit,
I'm not
I
sure.
think you're probably one, if I'm doing math quick, if you're 40 feet, is that, yeah, 9 inches? And then, and one of the things is what probably flex is, you know, this garage ordinance, you know, keeps it at 440 and keep, you know, so, right, if you ended up shrinking the garage, now it's already then gonna get narrow, and I think further on the agenda was something that came later, you know, the discrepancies of different parts of the code, you know, from, you know. But so it'd still have that minimum 440 garage.
I'll just point out, it's interesting that the one elevation that has a side window to the garage, to the front door is, well, actually, that's the one that meets code, and the rest are slightly higher that are in here. So it's really just talking about narrowing that up a little bit. Any concerns with that?
No.
I mean, I don't, I'll state it more as maybe an obvious is, I'd rather see the side windows there. I don't have a huge concern with it, but I'd rather see side windows and more of a house there than the garage, like the code is written. I guess the percentages with the 4 elevations you're showing, and I have no concern. It's not that much variance. I think that covers everything. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. It is a public hearing. If anyone would like to come forth and speak on these items. I already opened it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, at 7:51 or 6:51.
It's really late, just to bring it up.
I got this letter in the mail.
Name and address.
Marcia Grover, 11320 Fernbrook Lane. I got this letter in the mail, and it says the proposed PUD allows for deviations in city code requirements in exchange for a public benefit. Now, he's already given one benefit, but that was before the changes. So now he's coming to you and he's asking you for 5 different things. And what it's going to do is it's going to increase the value of these properties, which means more money in his pocket. So I'm thinking that if you go ahead and do this, you should require something in exchange for the public, not for the neighborhood, for the public. And so I think the more houses built, there's going to be more cars on the road, there's going to be more foot traffic, more bike traffic, Every day I see people walking and biking past my house. And it's very dangerous. You have these big dump trucks going by, these semis hauling machinery. It's not a good thing. But now when they're going to build another 250 houses, you're going to have 500 cars on the road at least twice a day. Tom Dean's proposed more housing closer to Fernbrook, not just these townhouses or patio homes or whatever they are, but he also talked about another building addition across 117th on the north side. So we're going to have tons and tons of cars, but I haven't really heard where the roundabout is going to be. Is it going to be at 114th or is it going to be at 117th? Building these patio homes, it looks like 117th is off the table. So you're going to have a roundabout at 114th. I propose that you build a path from 114th along the west side, or along the east side, no, the west side of Fernbrook, past in front of Dean's Manor, in front of Alan Dean's house, and right up to Rush Creek Parkway, so that these people, these young kids with the backpacks on their backs, going to visit their friends, the people out running, these bicycle people, they can get off the road. It's not a safe environment right now, and it's only going to get worse. So I think that it should go on the west side of Fernbrook. I believe it's been said once that there's going to be a trail over by the power lines, but that's about a half a mile from Fernbrook, and doesn't really benefit the residents living along, near, or east of Fernbrook Lane. It's approximately a half a mile from Fernbrook to get to that trail, and that trail will not take you to Elm Creek Park. The trail will only be convenient for the residents over there. You can bet there will be somebody there thinking the trail is only for the nearby neighborhood residents and scolding children and adults alike to get off. I'm talking about doing something to help the people who live in Dayton now in this area, not the people who might live here several years from now. Every day I see people walking down the street, riding bikes on Fernbrook, and it's the only way that they can get to the park or to their friend's house. You already have messed up your chance to do something to reroute Fernbrook. Now you need to do something to protect the walkers and the bikers from your mistakes and all the traffic that you have allowed to come. Again, I'm asking you to please think about the residents that already live in this area when you make your decisions about what's going to be built. Too many times, the current residents of an area have been ignored by the Planning Commission and the City Council. According to the letter I received, there must be something given in exchange for these changes that he wants. And I think a paved path would fit the bill. And I hope to see you guys take some action on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. Lee Hallquist, 11471 Fernbrook Lane. I agree with both of these people. From what I see Tom's changes here, I don't have a problem with any of them, and I have the property that's closest to all of this. I'm on the south end of all of this section of it. But I think Marcia's right in that you guys pretty much let the city down as far as planning anything regarding this development for the residents who already live here. You know, by the city's projections, traffic's going to be 11,000 cars a day in 2 years. We're a little over 6,000 right now. You guys aren't planning for traffic, for foot traffic or anything. But that's on you, not on Tom. Like I say, I don't see where this changes the way this development affects me one little bit, so I'm actually not opposed to it, so. And that's all I really got, other than I wish you guys would do your job.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, as the applicant comes forward for a clarification, there is a proposed trail along Fernbrook.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing in the packet as well.
Yeah, I think maybe just to add some clarification. So in front of these road homes, there is a trail that runs all the way along Fernbrook. But then once you get to the south end of it, close to Lee's home, it turns to the west, the trail runs behind it, Then when we do get to, say, the 113th, 114th, that has trail on each side of the road. And then we've already discussed this trail when we did the Sundance Greens project. And on Glacier, there's a wide trail that runs on the east side of Glacier all the way up to Rush Creek Parkway that would allow traffic or bike trails to get over to the park. This discussion kind of was there back then and thought, hey, to get it off the road. But in front of, there's a huge open space on this parcel, so it just seemed to make sense to put the trail along Fernbrook. But otherwise, we've just taken one block off to the west, and it does all the way run up to the connection.
And correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm seeing on the Sundance Parkway on the north side is a sidewalk, south side's the trail. It's called Sundance Parkway, 114th.
Yep.
We don't have it on the slides.
Yep. Yeah, it's going up,
Yeah.
but there's a bike trail on one side, yeah, but there is access on both
Yep.
sides. And it goes up and actually, so, you know, from the beginning, still has the Rush Creek Parkway across, right, at the road. And from Sundance Greens, right, I've been wanting a different layout. You know, I proposed a culvert or a tunnel to go under, but I do think as it's getting longer, maybe the city engineer can discuss somewhere around 29, that trail will get built as the new bridge is going on Fernbrook. And so then they'll be able to go to the west along the power line, right in through Maple Grove, and then get under the bridge there.
And your trail along 117th connects to the existing trail?
Correct.
Okay.
So,
Tom,
Thank
just one quick question. I'm trying to get the picture of the trail in my mind, and I'm not there yet.
Yep.
Maybe you can help me. So I got the part where it comes up to Lee's house
Yep.
along 121. That goes behind them.
Yep.
And then it goes where when it gets?
so come
214th?
behind the 6 homeowners.
Yeah,
So it runs behind there.
Yep.
And then down to, say, you know, they're gonna call that, well, Sundance Parkway. And then at
114th, yeah.
Yep. But also at, say, the northwest corner of Lee's house, the trail not only will come back south, it'll also keep going westerly all the way through the development around the ponds to the power line and connect to that trail too. And it'll connect to the park, the little, you know, the other corner of the park. And then we did probably put 3/4 of that trail in under the power line. And then the last section is going to get held off as, once we get to July, after the 4th of July, 113th will get torn up and we'll get all reconstructed down to Glacier. And then whatever happens on roundabout design will be where we'll connect the rest of it. But so before the summer's end, we'll have the trail on each side of 113th from Glacier up. And Glacier does have that, like if you were to look there, it's a tar path on the easterly side, so that's wider. It's 10 feet versus a city sidewalk with four bikes in particular. So, I mean, I feel like I would agree with Marcia that I see bikes out there. I think that's not really internal neighborhood people. I think that's further out, you know, people that are.
It's both,
well,
right.
right. If you're not there as much as we are that live there.
Yeah.
But it's kids coming from the neighborhoods
It's-
over along 117th, it's coming from north on Fernbrook. There's a lot of new families moving in.
Yep.
And the influx of young kids, to me, is just amazing. It's kind of like it was, you know,
Well,
40 years ago when my kids were young.
We go for family bike rides all the time to the park and through the
We
park.
see that all the time by the house, yeah.
But, and I think it will help connect, you know, maybe it does help, maybe it doesn't. I mean, we can, from say the Brayburn Trails East, you know, now this will give them better access to get south.
Yep.
So,
And to the park entrance, which is
Yep.
right at Rush Creek Parkway.
but I think, you know, it's taken a long time, you know, from when we started 2018 to hopefully 29, you know, and if they do the bridge, I don't know how, you know, I don't know if that means trail right away or, you know, that's park district stuff, but you'd think they'd like to build that, but
I think the only comment I have on the design of the trail and all this, and Jason, this is kind of geared towards you and the engineering side, that median that's shown here in the plans, I'd like to make sure it's wide enough for a bike with a Burley or a tandem, and I can help get you some of those measurements, but if you need them, but I know when I cross Fernbrook right now, I ride a tandem recumbent with my daughter who's disabled, and I gotta make it in one swoop. I can't stop in the refuge. Make sure we got enough room for that refuge stop, so.
yeah, I'm on an argument there. I think there was another discussion about the roundabout on 117th too, and there is easement that we're deeding to that corner for roundabout to be built down where the pond is at.
What's
So-
your construction sequencing on the bike paths in these neighborhoods? Are you putting them all in this summer, or do they get staged with the development as the houses get built?
Well, I think, so the bike, we have majority of the bike path in the first edition already. We just need, you know, we need to do the 113th. And then really our plan on this, the second here is we're building it all out, you know. I think the 6 homeowners that are adjacent there are anxious, you know, especially a couple of families to the south, right, and come out their backyard. You know, we had a lot of discussion on at first, you know, we just had a bike trail, and then it was just an easement, right? And then as we talked a little bit early on the homes with MI, the discussion was, well, you know, I got an easement, what happened, you know, it would be on the new homes that we're building in the second edition there. And the existing homeowners in Fernbrook, they want to just walk across their yard to get onto the trail. And it's like, okay, is there going to be a neighborhood dispute because you're going on my yard? And, well, we got an easement. So we actually changed that around and spent some time in the city where that's going to be an outlot.
Yep.
Owned by the city. So it's free path for anybody, you know.
What's the timing on the roundabout at 114th? And it's kind of a, I get it, it's not an easy question, but
You know, I
since
can't
we're
answer
talking
that.
about stuff and it's coming out.
I'll say when funding's available, but likely 2028, but it's going to be dependent on funding.
Is the status? Was there ever a study? Is the study going yet?
The
or are you still
corridor
working
study
on it?
it's, I'll say in final draft form. So
Are there intentions to put in multiple roundabouts at the same time?
Ideally, we would, yeah.
Obviously, it
Up
comes down to
3.
funding, but,
Right,
and is it 114th and 117th being targeted versus?
and Rush Creek Parkway.
And Rush Creek
All
Parkway.
3, yep.
Gonna get busy
Thank
driving
you.
down the road.
Marcia, I'll give you a few more minutes.
I just want to say, again, he mentions the trail, and it's by the power lines.
No, I'm looking at the plan, it's right on Fernbrook. The plan is right on
The one that
Fernbrook.
it goes behind their house.
Yep.
And then he said it goes down.
It goes down to what's currently 114th, and then it tees both directions, so the user has an option to go towards Sundance or towards Fernbrook. It's on the plans.
So, my,
And then it goes from,
The
and then
people-
from 114th, it goes down to Rush Creek Parkway.
the people that live on Fernbrook and east of Fernbrook, they'll have to go down 114th to the power lines, and then,
No, it's directly west of Fernbrook. It is literally, what, 20 feet west of Fernbrook?
we have children in our neighborhood now again, which is wonderful. Okay, but they walk down 113th pushing the stroller with their kids on it, you know, and I'm really worried about them. We need a path somewhere that people that don't live in these developments are able to use.
Yep, so this is about 20 feet off of Fernbrook to the
Okay.
west, and it runs
Behind Dean's
from,
Manor?
it runs from Dean's Manor to 117th,
In front of Dean's Manor.
in front of Dean's Manor.
Okay, all right.
And it runs, besides the 6 homes, it runs 20 feet west, and then it juts
I'm
around
just-
them.
I'm just so
It's
sick of the
actually-
traffic and
I-
seeing these people out there. Somebody's going to get hurt.
As I've looked at Tom's plans over the last, I'll say 11 years or 12 years now, having built in Sundance Woods, I wish we would have had as many trails and sidewalks as this neighborhood has. This has a lot more.
But what about you're talking about the neighborhood, but what about the people that,
But this is what he's building on his property that he's controlling, and he's building
where
connectivity
the
for.
commercial was
He's,
originally
he's building
designated?
connectivity for the neighborhood and the adjacent properties as well.
Do you have that in your packet, Keith? No?
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right, okay.
so,
It helps to be an engineer, though, I'm sure.
it does, I look at these plans daily,
That helps.
yeah, I can point it out to you, too.
I'm short, so I'm probably not going to sit. Kathy Powers, 11461 Fernbrook Lane. We were in a meeting several months ago about the Fernbrook corridor. And I
I'm
know
sorry,
I've been bugging Jason about it, and
Kathy, we can't hear you. Could you speak in the
Kathy,
mic?
could you just?
oh, you can't hear me?
Yes.
The
Oh,
people
sorry.
online, yeah.
Okay.
I could hear you pretty good, but.
Can you hear me? Okay, so the Fernbrook corridor, several months ago, and I have been asking Jason about where is that? What is the timing on that? Now, this is the first time I heard 2028. So I think there needs to be a little bit more communication with people in Dayton about these roundabouts that you're attempting to put wherever you're putting them. And I think it'd behoove you to do that, whether it be in an email or whether it be in a planning meeting or whatever, but people need to know about that. I belong to the Faithbrook Church, and they're constantly asking me about that. And so are the people on 114th. Hernandez, because it's going to be his property. It's going to be moved or changed or whatever. So I think there needs to be some kind of communication. Is that clear?
Thank you.
I have a question for either John or Jason, or maybe both. I'm not sure who to direct the question to, but let's just concentrate on 114th and the roundabout there to start with. Do we have an idea or an overview or a wish of where that roundabout is going to sit? So do we know what property needs to be taken for that? Is it on both sides of 121?
Yes.
Wow.
All 4 quadrants?
Yes. It was shared at the public meeting. The same information is available today, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and again,
the roundabout is going to be there because of this development,
Because of the.
west of Fernbrook.
I would
Because-
generalize it to this one. It's everything north of it that eventually happens, and these. These are what's causing it initially.
Right, but it needs to be there now. I mean,
would help.
all the people you're talking about in the future is just going to make the whole problem worse. I mean, I'm sure Jason wakes up at night thinking about these things, trying to figure out how do we fix the problem before it gets to a horrendous situation.
I think Jason
But-
knows how to fix them. We just need money.
Well, right, yeah.
I don't know how to find money, that's the problem.
The part that bothers me is that that property is potentially being taken away from people that, number one, aren't causing the issue in the first place. No one on the east side of Fernbrook Lane is bringing hundreds and hundreds of cars to Fernbrook Lane. They're not. I mean, there's a finite number of homes out there. They all have, fairly large pieces of property. It's kind of weird to me that we're, in a sense, punishing the people on that side of the road for very little benefit for them
You're talking
versus
about the people on the east side
on
of
the east
Fernbrook?
side of Fernbrook Lane, right. because they're not the people that are causing the problems of the traffic jam on Fernbrook Lane. I mean, you got a handful of people that live there, right? Maybe 15 families that live in that general area that we're talking about on the east side. I don't understand while we lay this out, why the roundabout isn't, the property dedicated to the roundabout isn't more on
the west
on the west side, which is what's causing the issue in the first place. If it wasn't for that west side, Jason could push that roundabout out years,
Sure,
right?
and Jason can correct me, I believe we looked at that, and it would require additional property, like from the Fernbrook 6.
From all 6 of the properties.
Because you'd have
Can't
to
shift it far
realign,
enough west and get back on.
you'd have to
line with all
realign Fernbrook
To the west.
to the west as well.
There's plenty of room to the west, at least today.
But where the 6 homes are, you'd have to take from each one
You'd
of
have to
them.
go all the way behind the homes.
When I look at the roundabouts that have been built in the area, I don't see that. I see the property across the street from where 114th joins Fernbrook now as a much larger area than the big roundabout they just built down at Territorial Road. I mean, you could plunk that right in there. It would fit there without affecting any of these homes that are there and without affecting any of the homes on the east side of Fernbrook Lane. And the same is true for the roundabout that we're potentially looking at 117th. But if this amount of homes goes in there, then you're dumping that onto the other folks that live at that intersection, that have rural, large lots. They're going to lose those, a good portion of those, to a roundabout that, again, benefits hundreds of other people that don't live there currently.
So let's talk about a couple things. First, when we talk about taking property, we're not eminent domaining these properties, correct?
No, in the roundabout really isn't part of this amendment.
Yeah.
Right, I understand that.
But it's
all a big
it's a right-of-way taking, they're getting fully compensated for their property.
Yes.
And it's going through a due process where they get compensated for their property that they're contributing to this project.
Assuming they want to sell that property.
And if they don't,
That's a big if.
right?
I know what I'd tell them if I lived there.
And the other thing in the room, right? I've been on hundreds of these projects throughout the years. These projects take a lot of time, a lot of planning, a lot of funding, and a lot of negotiations of how to do what, where, and right, Keith, an owner doesn't want to give a property. So how do you adjust your project to make it work? These are all factors that Jason and staff are working through that takes time, and maybe why you're not, as residents, you're not hearing as much as you want to, because they don't know. They're trying to work through some of these details, including funding. This project is not funded yet, and like Jason said, it's 2028, so it's, right now, we have a plan that we're moving forward with, but it's not set in stone.
Right, but we're looking at setting it in stone.
Well, I understand
Because you're taking, on 117th, you're taking a huge portion of the property that could and should, in my mind, be part of a roundabout there, and you're taking it out of the picture, because once all these homes are built, I mean, there's no room for a roundabout there without taking property from the other 3 people that live around that intersection. It ain't gonna happen. We're forcing this on the people that live there now by what we're developing and how we're laying this whole development out. We're doing it at 117th, we're doing it at 114th. And in some respects, I guess we probably did it some up at Rush Creek Parkway or Elm Creek Road, whichever way you want to look at that intersection. Although that's more wide open than either of the other 2 currently. I think that was part of the reason when they laid that development out, from my memory, listening to the council and sitting at council meetings, is that whole corridor along Fernbrook Lane to the south of Dean's Country Manor is way wider than anything else that we're looking at here. We're looking at these homes being right up on Fernbrook Lane, north of these 6. They're right up on the highway. On the south side of 113th, the south side of Dean's Manor, the south side of Tom's home place where his dad lives, there's a huge corridor in there. There's plenty of room to put a roundabout in there without disturbing one home. But what we're doing here is we're pigeonholing this in there. There's not going to be any choice but to take this property from people at some point. And no one in the city wants to do that. I don't know how you get these roundabouts that you know we all need without that happening.
I don't think you can lose sight too, Keith, that this is a county road, and in the county's long-term plan, there's going to be property taken, period.
They're not going to come in and take this development out of there.
No, not.
They're going to go where they can get it the cheapest.
This property's wide enough that they already have enough buffer.
Yeah.
It's the people that are going to suffer when the county decides there's too much traffic and we need to widen this road. Is they're going to be the existing homeowners like yourself, and I feel for you, but that's what's going to happen someday when the county decides to upgrade the road.
These new homes that we're talking about in this area here, which brings us back to the subject matter we're talking about here tonight, those homes are close, as close to the road as the 6 homes that are already there.
No, they're well, the back of Lee's home is in front of the curb line for the front of the new homes.
I have it up on the screen. This is the currently approved preliminary plat, but we're not changing anything over, or they're not changing over anything on this side. This is a 50-foot setback from the right-of-way of Fernbrook. So there's a whole road running between Fernbrook and the homes over here.
Yeah. There's a significant amount of room and setback from Fernbrook to the homes in question tonight.
That's something that county reviews when they review plats. They also want to make sure that they
I
have
think what
enough
we have to
right-of-way.
do is get back to the item on the table here. I know that this all was perpetrated by the idea is the public benefit still sufficient, right? So with the talk of sidewalks and trails and now rights of way and roundabouts, I think that what's been approved so far has been approved. And we have to deal with what is currently on the table as far as this specific request for this pocket development of these detached townhomes or, narrow lot homes or whatever you might want to call them. I think there is still a need for potential discussion on roundabouts in the future, and it sounds like we're still in planning stages, and that might not happen for another couple of years, so I think there's adequate time for that. But I would propose that we look back specifically on the development or the proposal in front of us tonight, and we can make a decision on that.
With that at 7:38, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any further discussion on the 5 items that we are voting on or recommending tonight?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to say that, the proposed development, the proposed amendment in front of us tonight is really just a shifting of what was going to be there anyway. There really isn't any huge changes or asks of the developer, and those asks of the developer are going to make quality of life better for future residents of Dayton. So with that, I would recommend approval of the case that's amending the PUD and preliminary plat for DCA Farms.
I will second that motion.
And I guess we'll have some discussion on that.
All right.
The motion's been seconded.
We have a motion and a second, and we have some discussion to be had.
I'm still looking for the additional public advantage to the city to do this. That's what I'm looking for. Every time a developer comes to the city and wants something, and that's our only opportunity to request something from them. Everything that's been pointed out here tonight has already been promised to the city. Everything. There's absolutely nothing, unless I'm missing something here, there's nothing additionally here that's coming to the city, to the current residents, to the future residents, than what was already promised. What we've got here is a situation, and if I was Tom, I'd be saying the same thing. And it's not a bash on Tom. If I owned that property, I'd be trying to maximize my return on the dollar out of that property. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Let's just stop beating around the bush.
But that's
I mean,
also
they're
a benefit to
making-
the city, Keith.
That's a benefit to the city if the home values are higher, is it not?
It is.
It's higher tax dollars. So it goes both ways. There's not a good guy or bad guy. Developers always get picked on, and every time we pick on them, guess what happens to the home price? It just keeps going like that.
Well, it's going to go up no matter whether we're picking on
Well,
it.
when
We're
we
not
add
pick-
more things and-
I don't agree with discussing the subject and looking at the pros and cons of it as picking on Tom, because I've never sat down and picked on.
And I'm not picking on Tom, I meant like a developer in general. We have an attitude sometimes, some people, that the developers are out to screw over Dayton. We need to be a partnership with them because they're gonna be constantly coming to Dayton. We're gonna be constantly evolving and changing. If people wanna make them the bad people, it's just gonna drive up the fee. If we wanna have higher fees or higher requirements, it's gonna drive up the cost of the home. It's just that simple. And so and a public benefit is a gray area. I'll completely acknowledge
Well,
that.
I'm
It's
looking
it's
to
always
find
been
it
in
here.
every single
I
city.
just don't see it.
I look at this as an amendment to the original request, right? The original request was, we want X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C, let's say, and the amendment is, we now also want X, Y, and Z. So we could go back to say, in the original planning unit development, when we were discussing what the public benefit was, which is the allocation of funds towards the roundabout and other public rights-of-way and improvements to infrastructure, that might have outweighed what the actual flexibility request was initially, the A, B, and C. Now they're asking for X, Y, and Z, and that's why my initial question was, do we still feel that that initial public benefit is sufficient to support both what was previously asked and now what is amended to ask in addition to? And I think if you weigh those two, if this developer came to us with all of these all at once, I think we would be perfectly fine with approving all those flexibilities in the PUD with what was given back to the city as a public benefit. And that's what I was trying to get at initially. So that's why I'm supportive that I think this is an amendment. They're not asking for 30 new lots. They're not asking for lot reductions. They're not asking for anything above and beyond the number or the actual layout or character of what they're asking for. It's just a shifting of lot lines to benefit future residents of the city. So that's why I'm supportive.
And just to read a little bit of what Commissioner Sargent said, because I'm in agreement, is if he would have came in here asking for like 30 more lots, like Commissioner Sargent mentioned, it'd be a different story. He's not asking for 30 more lots. He's asking for something that, in my view, makes this a more desirable product for future residents of Dayton.
100%.
And it's not, like, I'm not in the game to make it more difficult. I'm more in the game of making it, to have a successful product for the long term of Dayton, not to make it more difficult on the developers. We do need to ask what we can from the developers because, as Jason said, we don't have enough money for a roundabout. And so we want to make sure they are paying their fair share of stuff. But, you know, in this case, I would agree with Commissioner Sargent. It's just a shifting of line. In fact, mostly because it's an HOA, most of these owners don't even know where their property line is going to be. And what you're doing is saying that your side yard, for the most part, is now yours. It's not half your neighbors, half the next neighbors. It's yours. It's going to make it more functional, more private. I mean, that's why I'm in favor of this, I guess. I'll leave it at that.
To add to that, the space between them will be better maintained too, because it's actually a habitable space, not just a walk-through, but like I said before, I'm in favor. I think it's a betterment to this particular community and, yeah.
Anything else, Keith, to add?
Nope.
I guess I've got one comment for the applicant on the trail system in this area in particular. In Outlot F, you have a trail about halfway down from the alleyway to going out towards Fernbrook, but it does not connect to Fernbrook, the trail running on Fernbrook. Something you should maybe consider is this neighborhood does not, this pocket does not have a direct connection to Fernbrook except for down by Lee's house. So something to consider.
I think it was just because there's a roundabout going there, it's all gonna get torn out, you know? Right? Does that have to
No, this is,
or am I on the wrong?
you're in the wrong spot.
Okay, I don't have it in front of me.
This is halfway between the alley loaded homes.
You could take it, the center sidewalk that connects
Yep.
the alley to the front walk, you could just
Just-
extend that out to the Fernbrook Trail too.
That's essentially what I was.
So it's right in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, between them.
Otherwise, I think just to
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, to reiterate on the issues at hand here. I mean, issue one, I think the intent of the setbacks of 7.5 feet was to provide 15 feet between homes. We're achieving that here. Corner yard, side yard setback, corner side yard setback, that was an overlook on our part, and the garage width is the only real one I have a hang up on. Providing elevations certainly helps. I'd like to see, this is a message to developers, I'd like to see that side window next to the front door, but that's just me. But other than that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-0.
One.
Or 4-1, sorry. Darren's here now, and he voted no. All right, thank you. Next up is public hearing for amending city code regarding minimum garage sizes for single and two-family dwellings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Planning Commission. This is a request to review standards for garage sizes in City Code Section 1001.19, Subdivision 72G, for minimum garage sizes for all single and two-family dwellings. That section of code, you can see it on the side of your screen there, sets a requirement of a minimum garage size for single and two-family dwellings, attached or detached, as 440 square feet, but then goes above that and sets an additional standard for single-family and two-family dwellings without a basement to be 540 square feet. Staff has identified a conflict in the code pertaining to the minimum garage size. As you'll see, the section 1001.05, which is the performance standards for residential districts, that sets a different minimum garage size, or several different minimum garage sizes, as opposed to what's in our parking regulations. Section 1001.05 requires a garage size, or minimum garage size of 440 square feet for all, or for detached single-family dwellings, regardless of the presence of a basement in R1, R1A, R2, RE, R3, and RM zoning districts. This is different than what's required in the parking regulations, because again, that requires a garage size of 540 square feet if the home does not have a basement. So we are looking at removing this redundancy and this inconsistency that is in the code, and instead of using both of the requirement that's within the performance standards for each residential district and the parking regulations, which again are not compatible, to just defer to that residential district performance standards for each zoning district. So we're asking to make the amendment that you see on the right of your screen. A 440 square foot garage is already permitted for all detached single family dwelling units within the performance standards for those zoning districts. The inconsistency between what's required in those performance standards and what's required in the parking section of the code have created confusion between city staff and builders regarding garage size for single family dwelling. So we believe that removing the standard for garage sizes from section 1001.19, which again is that parking section, and allowing garage sizes to be regulated in the performance standard sections for each zoning district would make this process a lot clearer. We are not asking to reduce the garage sizes beyond what's already allowed in each individual zoning district. We're just asking to evaluate whether it would be reasonable to keep that 540 for homes without a garage, or again, just defer to that base zoning district, which allows 440 for all single-family detached structures. You'll see this table right here. It's slightly different than the table that's in your packet, just because there are some wonky numbers in there. But again, you can see that This is what's required for dwellings with a basement, 440 all the way across. This is what we have required for those without a basement, 540 all the way across. And this is what's required in the performance standard for each residential zoning district for single-family detached. So again, that's 440. This is where that incompatibility lies. The minimum garage size for single-family attached dwellings is also provided within each zoning district. That will still be there. That is 540 for those that don't have a garage and 440 for those with a garage. We have not, or with a basement, sorry, I keep saying garage. We have not seen any issues from the plan review side with attached dwellings. So this is purely looking at those single-family detached dwellings. And if something comes up later with attached dwellings, that would be reviewed then. But again, that would defer to the performance standards for each individual zoning district. And then just for some context, when we talk about garage size, it's good to have a frame of reference. The minimum parking space within the city of Dayton is required for if you were to build a parking lot. That would be 10 foot by 20 foot, so 200 square feet. So with that 440, you still have your 2 parking spaces and then 40 extra square feet. And again, I will say also I do plan review. I don't see a lot of homes coming in that are just at 440. Many of them surpass that. The issue sometimes gets into if a house is slab on grade and it doesn't have they're slab on grade, sometimes they'll be below that 540, and then it's a back and forth between the builder with, oh, this section says this says this. What do we do? So just asking to correct that incompatibility and get your opinion on that. The Planning Commission is asked to hold a public hearing and provide a recommendation to the City Council on this matter. The Planning Commission may recommend approval, recommend denial with reasoning, or table for more information. Staff recommends approval of this item, and again, that amendment is pictured on your screen. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
Are you aware of any direct changes to the plans that DCM has in front of us tonight in relation to these changes?
No. So garage size is something that gets reviewed when any home comes in. I've seen homes in several different developments where this has been an issue. This kind of got pushed to the forefront with DCM just because they're the development that we are permitting the most at the moment, but I've seen it in other developments. There's just, again, all homes meet that 440 for the most part. Very rarely do I have to push a plan back because it's not meeting that 440. Occasionally a slab on grade home will come in and it won't have that 540, which is what section 1001.19 requires, but again, not what the performance standards for each zoning district require.
So, Gracie, you can correct me, so the townhomes for DCM are at 440 versus 540?
Yes, they will have to comply with that 440. Right now, with the incompatibility in our code, it would be a gray area since they're slab on grade.
So what we're seeing in front of us is a recommendation to take out the 540?
Yes.
For slab on grade.
For slab on grade. Mm-hmm.
And again, there's 2 parts in the code that deals with garages.
Understood.
And that's where the
And that's the other part of tonight, is to clean up the code. And okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With that, this is a public hearing. I will open it at 7:53. Any discussion up here before we have anyone come forward?
I can save it until they come forward.
Okay. Anyone want to come forward and speak on this? All right, we will close the public hearing. 7:53.
I don't exactly recall when, but I remember bringing this up a while ago. Why do we have a separate requirement? Because of the slab on home grades. It's a choice that buyers are making. Some people that live in slab on grade, they're empty nesters. They don't have stuff, and they have association maintained lawns that I don't think that the basement should be the driving factor of whether you need a bigger garage. That's my take on it. I do understand a basement provides storage, so I understand the logic of why it got there, but I think that things have changed and people can make their own decisions when they are buying a home, whether that's going to meet their storage needs.
Yeah, my take is that these are minimum standards, right? The developers will know very quickly if they could get away with building just 440 square foot garages. The market will push that probably to be higher anyway. And this is a cleaning up of a zoning code, which I'm very shocked that there's conflicting information in a zoning code, because it never happens, right? No, but makes sense to me, so I'm supportive of it.
I don't have any concerns with it.
Keith, you have anything to add?
No, you haven't answered my question.
I guess I'm opposed to this. I'm not opposed to cleaning up the code and putting it in one section, I'll say that. I'm opposed to limiting or changing the garage size. I sat on the commission when we added this several years ago. Part of it was a discussion of vehicle size, part of it was a discussion of other apparatuses in the garage, bikes, garbage cans. Not, even if you mow or not mow your lawn and you have a service, whether it's HOA or someone else, you're gonna have stuff. And part of this was a discussion of why people wanna move to Dayton and why they wanna live out here, right? We wanna be out here because we have access to the trails. Well, if you have access to trails, you're gonna have bikes. And maybe you don't wanna move your car to get your bike out. So making it a little bit bigger, a little bit more functional for people was kind of the reason why I was in favor of, part of the reason why I was in favor of increasing the garage size for homes without basements.
Was there just, I wasn't at that discussion, but like when you think about that, I mean, because it's usually an interior access stairway to the basement anyway, do you think that having that basement's going to solve some of the items you mentioned? I mean, they're just kind of a pain in the butt to store.
It may or may not. I mean, it's going to limit people from, right, it's going to do everything from, someone having a extra area in their garage to set up a little man cave to, right, maybe they got to take their bike up and down the stairs to their basement or keep it in their living room. People do that all the time, but in more urban, dense areas. But I think that's kind of where I was trying to, really we're talking about a two-stall garage here.
It's,
And a two-stall garage, what I've seen out of builders is you got your 16-foot wide garage door and there's a foot on either side for the structure. And you put two cars in there of any size that aren't compact, it's tight. You can't even fit your garbage cans in there, which we don't technically allow by code to have your garbage cans outside.
I think we amended that.
I don't know if we did or not.
I think we
I think we
did.
amended that.
But
Yeah, they could be
they can be outside now.
outside.
But was kind of the point, right? You can't fit anything else in there besides the two vehicles.
I mean, I'm all for bigger garages. I couldn't live with a garage like that, but I think that it's more comes down to a choice when you're home, and that's where I'm struggling with why the basement is the defining factor.
And I think we decided the basement was how do you allow it to be smaller, but
Just the outlet for more storage,
Right.
right? So you can
Right.
store things downstairs, otherwise your garage becomes the storage unit and your car's outside.
Right, if it's like Peter said, if you have a 22 by 20 garage, you're not storing anything in that garage except your car, unless you're hanging it from the rafters. There's just no room. I mean, my garage I don't think is big enough, and my garage is 22 by 24, right? It's 24 deep, that gives me room in the front of
The
the
bigger
car to-
garage you have,
to
the
store
more
things.
stuff you get. That's just
Well,
that's just kind of how
I
it
mean,
seems.
people are
right?
moving to these
So-
houses to downsize.
That's right, yeah. No, I mean, I think that, if the discussion is whether or not a 20 by 22 size garage is large enough for our minimum standard garage that we want to see, again, we can have that discussion in the future. I mean, if we want to bump that up to 22 by 22 or 22 by 24, just for those same reasons, I think that's something we can certainly look at. Tonight, I think it makes sense to amend the ordinance as written by staff, just to clean it up, and if we want to look at if that minimum requirement of 440 is sufficient, then we can do that in the future too.
Well, and where I'm going with that is, I think it'd be prudent of staff to go back and look why we increased it before taking this out.
Okay.
That's my stance on it.
Mr. Chair, I think you guys have discussed it, and just going back on memory, I also believe that your garage should be bigger than your house, but when we had this discussion, however many years ago, it was also pointed out, I'm not the target audience for a townhome.
Right.
Or a patio home in particular.
Right.
Because they tend to be downsizing at that point in their life.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, the concern of fitting garbage cans and bicycles, being that this is a bike-friendly community. I also remember we had a discussion, not specific to the 440 square feet, but, for a 3-car garage, where we had a former commissioner who said it was plenty big enough for a 2 cars and a boat and bikes and all this other stuff. The issue is that we all have too much stuff.
No, we don't have big enough garages, John.
So,
Just for some context, I wish I had numbers in front of me for what the average garage size we're seeing on applications is. It's not 440, it's usually in that, I'd say, 480 range. That's small. So I don't think by cleaning up the code in this way, builders would be pushing out the bit to get those 440 garages. I think garage size, it would be something to look at for an amendment if that's what Planning Commission and Council directs. But again, this is something that's kind of holding up some plans because we have different standards in 2 different areas of our code. And it's confusing for builders, confusing for staff.
Explain the confusing part.
Yeah, the R3
Get your
section.
crayons out for me.
Yeah, the R3 section of the code, which is what we use to review plans when it comes to garage size, architecture, things like that, anti-monotony, all of that, or R1, R2, whatever this underlying zoning district is. That is very clear in requiring that 440 as a minimum, regardless of basement. And then there's also additional requirements for 2-family attached and so on. But vast majority of the plans we receive are for single-family detached. So if somebody is above that 440 but below that 540, it's a question of staff of, do we kick it back? What ordinance do we use to evaluate the plan? It holds up plans. It's confusing for everyone. We've had to get the city attorney involved with it.
So in the city code, we have a section on parking standards, and within that parking standards, we have minimum garage sizes, and that's where we have the conflict. Because it's different than what it states in the R3 district.
Or the R1, any of the residential districts.
But
That's not what we're looking at.
But does the R...
It is, yeah, so this is the
Does
parking.
the R3 district explicitly say homes without basements are allowed the 440? That's the question at hand, because if it doesn't, then there's no conflict in the code. It's just, this may be in the wrong section of the code.
I have that pulled up right now. What section are we in? Section 100105 says special minimum requirements detached single families. This is the R3 section. This is also what you'll see in R1 and R2. A private 2-car garage with a minimum floor area of 440 square feet shall be required to be built concurrent with the principal structure. The maximum footprint of the garage shall not exceed the footprint of the living area of the principal structure. So that kind of is a...
So that's silent on basements, though.
Silent on basement, yep.
So this is where, then that would trump that, because this has got the basement requirement in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we put this in there for a reason. It may have been in the wrong section, it should go to that section. I don't like taking it out is where I'm at.
But either way, your city attorney agree that there's some ambiguity in the code and that there needed some kind of amendment or cleaning up to make it clearer
Yes. The
legally.
city attorney has kind of said it's clear within the R3 district, the minimum garage size is 440, like with or without.
period.
But they could build a house with a basement in R3, correct?
Right.
So
Then it would have to be
then
a
it would,
larger number.
it could be 440, and if they built it without a basement, then it has to be the 540.
Yeah.
I think I'm following John. I'm confused.
I'm not, I'm following Peter, that's my train of thought too.
Yeah.
Is the performance section says basement or no basement? But the R3 just says a number, period.
440.
Yes, the parking section
Right.
says basement or no
So if you're
basement,
a
yeah.
reader of code, they're like, oh, 440, but then staff comes back and says, oh, you don't have a basement, over here in performance standard, it says 540.
Yes.
Now we have a conflict.
There's no conflict though, because that's the only place that says that there's a
That there requires a basement.
Yeah, so perhaps perhaps what you should be doing then, if you want that, what is it, 560, what is it?
40.
540, is that you should add that language to the R1, the R2, the R3 standards.
Yeah.
So it's consistent that way.
Versus what they're saying.
Versus what you're saying is get rid of the 540.
It's the same. So
Right.
the question is really, do you want the 540? Or
Correct.
440
The
or
question is,
just one?
what's the intent of why that 540 was put in there when you guys enacted it, and if that should be what is moved forward. So, I don't have the answer to that, right? So,
I don't think we need 540, just because, again, it's a buyer preference. And there's certain patio homes where people are downsizing.
I agree that I don't know why having a basement or not would trigger the need for a larger garage space.
Is that kind of
It's just for storage reasons essentially, but.
Is that kind of requirement showing up in other cities' ordinances that?
I've never seen it.
We've not looked, we've
Okay.
not done a comparison for
Yeah.
this project. and
Yeah.
I don't know if we did one 5 years ago or whatever it was.
I don't
This was
remember us
great.
talking about one.
I've read a lot of codes, but this is not something I'd ever look for, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you can have the discussion between the two different sizes. I mean, I understand that, we're kind of in two different places here. But what confuses me is when the language was written in the first place, having 40 years of writing contract language, trying to make it so that it didn't do this stuff.
Right.
This drives me crazy.
Yep.
Because if you have a code for a size of a garage, you only need to have it one place. And you have to refer to it, if you want to refer to it in 6 other places, that's fine. But if you have it in multiple places in any agreement that you've got, you will end up with a screwed up mess just like this. Somebody will screw it up. That's how that happens. I would never, ever write a contract like that. I wouldn't do it. I've had people propose that to me from
Right.
executives of corporations, right? They would propose me language, well, you can't do that, that's crazy. The next guy that comes along is just gonna look at one of them and think that's what you can do, and that's what you do. This is just, I understand it needs to be cleaned up, but I don't know that the 540 and the 440 needs to be changed to clean it up. You just need to put the specific dimensions and what it applies to in one place, and if you need to refer to it in other places, then you do, you refer to it.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could just summarize it. Currently, we have a conflict in the code. We have minimum garage sizes in 2 different areas. In one place, it says 440, another place, it says 540. What this proposed amendment does, it cleans it up, it removes the 540, so it's just 440, minimum garage size of 440 square feet in the R3 district.
And from my position, I know that, I respect what Peter and those guys did in the past, but from my perspective, again, it's a buyer preference. That's why I don't understand why we're discriminating whether you have a basement or no basement. So I'm in favor of what staff is proposing to clean, as a method of cleaning it up.
I think we're just trying to set minimum standards for what we want the city to look like in the future. If you don't want somebody having their bikes out front, you have to have some place for them to put. If you don't want some place to have their little lawnmower out front, you have to have some place to put it.
Those aren't things that normally would go in a basement. So that's where I'm struggling with the
You haven't been in my basement.
So I guess where my hangup is on this, and this is more than, let's take the garage size out of this from what it actually is, but it's written in one part of the code at 540, and we amended that for a reason. And we're taking we're striking that language completely without addressing it in the other section of the code. And that's where I have a problem with it, without discussing what that part is. I don't mind cleaning this up. I just, it's not a one-part deal like staff is presenting it. We can't just strike one part of the code because it conflicts with something else when there was an intent for that one part. And so either we have the discussion tonight on, do we include it, which I don't think we can.
Include what?
Include the 540 in the other section. because it wasn't advertised that way on public hearing.
We can always table it with
So we
direction
could
to
table
staff,
it with
if that's what the majority agreed. but-
Peter, I think where you're going with it is having a larger discussion
Yeah.
of what is the appropriate garage
Yep.
size for any type of house.
Yep, and we can, I'm okay with doing that if we for tabling this item. I'm not okay doing that if this item is voted on tonight, so.
I'd be willing to bet that a 20 by 22 size garage or 440 is probably a very standard minimum garage size for single-family homes in the metro area,
From a code perspective.
from a code perspective, yeah. I've seen 20 by 20,
I mean,
which is
I mean,
real small.
It seems like we're revisiting the discussion you
Yep,
had.
yep.
Yeah.
Many years ago, about whether we want a clause about the basement or not the basement. To me, that's,
Yeah.
because I don't care if it was R1, R2, or R3, it's the same concept.
It is the same concept.
Yeah.
You know, you heard my position. I don't think that the basement and the garage relation, I understand a little bit with storage, but, I mean, that's the user choice, and I guess, again, if you think of a lot of patio home,
Yeah, you're not putting your garbage cans in the basement, you're not putting well, you could be putting your bikes in the basement too, but, I mean, everything else, you're not putting lawn equipment in the basement,
and it's, again, it's a user choice and a product type that
Yeah.
you're choosing to buy something like that versus something that maybe had more space for you.
I'm buying that house with a 20 by 22 size garage, knowing that I have one car or two cars that could fit the number of bikes I have. I mean, I know everything could fit when I'm buying that house, is what you're saying. Or if I'm designing the house, I'm going to
Right.
design the house with a bigger
Right.
garage, 3-car garage, or whatever it is, because I know I have a lot of stuff,
Right.
or whatever it might be. So I get where you're coming from.
And again, it's partially because so many of the patio home buyers are elderly people that aren't looking for all the extra space anymore. They're downsizing in their life. But, you know, when they sell, they have the big estate sale on purpose, you know? So I don't want that extra burden in a design feature of maybe that someone really doesn't want it or need it. It's probably a matter of thing. I know I'd want it, but they don't need it. That buyer doesn't need it.
Is the 540 to 440 a difference of a third stall, or is it just a bigger two?
10 by 10
I'm
area,
not
so you
really-
really can't do much. I mean,
Yeah, it's
so
true.
10 by 10 area.
Yeah.
540, so 440 is 20 by 22.
Yeah.
540 is 22 by 24 and a half.
Yeah.
It gives you,
Gives you basically 4 feet in front of,
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
decided upon, at the time was the garbage cans was kind of where
Yeah.
it was. But we talked about Christmas decorations, we talked about,
Storage bins of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these kinds of
other
houses that are
seasonal things.
having smaller garages just don't have the same storage needs, right? Like, you're not gonna have 14,000 Christmas lights in 10 bins in your garage in this neighborhood, in the DCM.
Yeah, and
garage,
some
right?
people
Like,
that
so-
have these homes choose mini
just-
storage too.
Yeah, and so I kind of feel like we're allowing these smaller lots. You know, this DCM Farms is a great example of that. It's gonna push the garage sizes down smaller just because it's the product of the lot and the type of home they're trying to sell and the people that they're marketing to. I don't have a problem with some garages being 440, and if they are doing a larger home that's more geared towards families, the developer's probably gonna inch that up closer to the 540, because they have to in order to sell that product and make it attractive.
That's right.
It would not go well if they had the tiniest garage in the world and you're trying to sell a 4-bedroom home or 3-bedroom home for kids and stuff, right? So,
I mean, our storage bins in the garage are on rack shelves that we put up because we knew
Yeah.
we needed the space, so.
yeah.
There's ways of getting more storage in a 20 by 20 with cars in the garage.
Yeah.
Or 22 by 20 size garage.
So I'm in favor of the cleanup. I agree with Aaron. I don't know, I mean, I understand the relationship to the basement, but at the same time, I don't know if that needs to be really the driving force. And if we don't know of other cities where you've worked, or Grace, where you've consulted like that, have that relationship, I don't know, it seems maybe that's something that needs to go in a future edit, but.
And so I guess where I'm at, I think that I just want to make 100% clarity, because I know Peter's concerned about if we were to potentially have 3 votes where we approve this tonight, is what's your concern of just striking that section again? Like, because it's good, basically what we're striking is that we're getting rid of the basement relationship. That's what's going on in my brain, and so I could be.
So what I don't like about it is we added the 540 for a reason. And what I don't like about it is we're not addressing the 540 in the parking code. We're not, or in the R3, the zoning code. We're changing the parking regulations without changing it elsewhere, going to the minimum that we have written in both, without addressing what the minimum should be. We're just striking it. I don't like that.
The minimum would still be 440.
I don't.
Right?
But we have it written here as with a basement.
And that's really what we're voting on striking.
Yep, and I don't like the process that we're doing this. I don't like the process that we're not having a discussion about the garage sizes, and we're just striking the language here because it's written 2 different places in the code, and it was presented that way, that it's written in 2 different places of the code, and we should just strike it because it's conflicting. Well, it's not conflicting because it's clearly written that 440s are minimum, and then over here it says, but wait, if you have a basement, you got to go to 540. So it's not conflicting. If you don't have a basement, you got to go to 540. So it's not conflicting in our code the way it's written, but it's being presented that it is conflicting. And I understand the confusion of having it referenced 2 different spots. So I'm okay with moving it from one section to the other. I'm not okay just striking it without having a discussion on the size.
So, following what you said, is that with the conflicting part of it, part of it is that I'm okay striking the 540 and you're not with a basement.
Yep.
And so that's where, I guess my thing is, and I get it, if you're just striking it, that could be an issue, but to me, I'm just striking the 540 because I don't think the relationship between the basement and garage is good. So if and I get you having a discussion on garage size is important, but am I understanding it right, that if we strike the 540, it's more the context of how it was presented?
And look at a shed, look at a lot size, right? Look at any other thing that we would deal with. It is not presented this way normally.
Right.
We would have to do both parts in the same night.
Right, and the way the whole thing has been presented here tonight,
Yep.
and the way the public hearing has been presented is
Yep.
not the way we're sitting here arguing and looking at it.
Correct.
It's not at all, because what was presented to the public and in the information that we got from John was that there were 2 conflicting parts, and we were just making them match up, right? That's not what's, that's not what we're talking about
In defense
here.
of staff.
That's what Peter's saying.
In defense
right?
of staff, they're getting feedback that the attorney's conflicting, applicants have conflicting, so.
But both parts of code should have then brought forward and advertised.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could, there's 2 paths that we're going, or 2 options. One is making a motion to either approve or deny this as it's written, and the second option is to table this and have a larger discussion on garage
Yep.
sizes, like city, zoning-wide, not specific to R3, but every zoning district.
I guess from my perspective, having a larger discussion on garage size is going to be a circular discussion where a lot of people think bigger is better, like me, but I'm not willing to codify it.
You know, we did.
I'm not willing to codify it.
Well, and that's where I'm
Because
okay.
other people are better with.
And that's where I'm okay if we would have had both codes in front of us and just moved one to the other. I would have been perfectly fine with that tonight.
Exactly. When you present it to the public that we're doing X and we turn around and do Z, that's not what the whole open hearing was for about tonight. It isn't at all.
Because if we would have, if you don't want to have a discussion about garage sizes, let's just move this language to our zoning and be done.
But I'm also in favor of striking the 540, which is what.
But that's
the reason why staff is here, is there's confusion.
But that's the way it's presented, though, is there's confusion in where it is in our code. So let's move it to the right spot in our code versus strike it. Let's start by getting rid of the confusion, then we can have the discussion about sizes.
Right, if there's gonna be discussion about which is the proper size for a garage.
That's a
and
different
the way-
discussion.
That's the way it needs to be presented. That's not what we're talking about here tonight. At least that's not what was presented. No slam to you, but that's the way I look at it, the same way Peter's
The
looking at it.
concern is
That's
that-
the way we presented it to the public.
The concern is that we are taking a
Table
minimum.
this and give them some instruction on
Yeah,
what we
I
want
mean-
them to do and move on. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just talking in circles.
I'm
sorry.
fine with that.
I think the concern here is that an action tonight could conceivably reduce the minimum square footage of a garage from 540 to 440. It could. Because you're getting rid of the 540 minimum.
No, it would.
And
It would.
it
It would. It's
would.
not-
And
not
I don't
really.
know if that was the intent.
Was that the intention?
Yes.
That's the way I read it.
I think, Peter and other commissioners, I think where you're going is what is the appropriate minimum size garage
Correct.
based on the type of house? And I don't know, we're not going to have an answer for that tonight. And
Right.
And I think
I don't think we'll ever have a great answer for that.
everyone's going to have their own.
You could
opinion.
base it on bedrooms, you could just go down all these different paths, and it's just not, I'd rather have the market figure it out. Because when you codify stuff, then we're back here talking about it like
Yeah.
this, because we codified a arbitrary number that
Yeah.
made sense at the time, but
Yeah.
now it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about arbitrary numbers. over
I
the years.
understand your opinion and your argument on it. I get it. But my point is a procedural thing. We presented X to the public in an open hearing. That really isn't what we're talking about here.
I don't know if
It
I
is.
totally agree with
I,
that.
I agree with Keith, though,
Yeah,
that we presented it as there's a conflict in our code, and that we need to get rid of this part of the code.
I think
without-
I think there is a conflict in our code. There's two parts that say two different things, and it depends on, and that's what the attorney's having trouble interpreting, is one thing says one, and then in a performance standard, it says something else. And there's that constant conflict that it shouldn't be like that. It should have been, like Keith was saying, or like you were saying, to each section to begin with, so there wasn't this conflict, because now people have to make decisions.
Right, but the way.
So then
but
you
the way to
resolve
fix it-
that by moving it to the right part of the code.
That's what I would do.
Well,
Not striking it.
true, the other resolution is to strike it, because that resolves it too. And that's the way I kind of interpret it.
Well, you can do that, but it gets back to what I'm talking about. That's not what was presented to the public. That's not what the public hearing was about.
This is the public hearing.
Yeah.
Well, that's not
What was-
what was presented for, if you have people in the city that are concerned about garage sizes, we haven't presented that to them, that's what we're gonna discuss, is whether you should have 440 or 540 or 640 or anything else. People may have opinions on that. I don't know that.
There's no, the requirement to notify of a public hearing essentially relies on what code section you're looking at for a possible amendment. You don't have to spell out exactly what you're going to be talking about in the public notification process. You could be as simple as saying, we're going to be discussing code section 1001.19. That's it. So anything above and beyond that is beneficial, but legally speaking, as long as you're notifying the section of the ordinance that you're going to be discussing, then it's on that person, on the public, to get them more information from the city to understand.
And that's where Keith and I are at. It was advertised as 1001.19, and we're talking about 1001.05.
Okay.
So there is a discrepancy there that we need to table this.
Staff, can you confirm what Peter said? I'm not looking at, I don't have my computer, so I just want to make sure that,
The change to the code would be 1001.19. That's what would be striked. Then that would be deferring garage size minimums to the 1001.05 section.
So it is addressing both parts of the code, in my mind.
But you're only making changes to the 1001.19.
Yes, you're only changing this section of the code.
And that's what's being discussed at the public hearing tonight.
We can repost this, and we're going to have the same number of people in the public hearing.
Maybe.
Okay.
I wouldn't assume, but you might be right. Might be right, but what Jeff is talking about too is it bothers me. It really does.
It's
Because
allowed.
if you meet the minimum code, and you lay something out there like that, and you change that, and people look at that and go, I don't even know what that is, you know? I think it behooves us, when we're having an open hearing, that we tell people enough on the open hearing sheet so they know what the hell they're looking at when they come down here.
I don't disagree.
Because that's how, those are the folks that are sitting out there and they're listening at home, those are the people we're supposed to be representing.
Yep.
If we put something out there and we slip that past them and they don't even know what we were talking about, that's a huge issue.
I don't disagree, I'm just
That's a
saying
huge issue for me.
what's allowable by law
and
to post for public hearing.
And while staff is right that we are only proposing to amend this section of the code, we do reference the other section in our packet, and we should do better and notify of both.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could, to try to simplify this, on so like using DCM Farms as an example, these are slab-on-grade homes, how big of a garage should they have?
In the way I read our code today, 540.
Okay, so right now, there's an amendment to change that from 540 to 440. Like, what is the appropriate size?
So that begs the next question, which is what I asked you before. That does directly affect what DCM is going to build on that property. They're going to downsize those garages and save themselves a hell of a bunch of money based on our code. So it directly affects them.
DCM, it's everybody.
Well, it's everybody, but we're talking about them here tonight. That's the reason this came
Personally,
up.
I think that when we have these discussions, we should state about the principle of what's occurring and not an individual property owner, individual developer, because this is a code that's going to be in our code. So when we make it too personal, it's not good for the city. It's just not a good thing. So I get where you're coming from, Keith, but I think it's better to make it more about what's going in the code and the principle of what that means.
That makes it even more important to follow what Peter's talking about.
That we didn't do our due process of having the
Absolutely not.
101.05 as part of this.
If we're going to do something, whatever it is we decide we're going to do, the public needs to know what we're going to do before we do it. We don't just slide it through under the table. I'm not insinuating that that was your intent, but I'm telling you that that's what's actually transpired, if we pass this tonight.
Back to Mr. Savald's comment, because I think if this does get tabled, we need some direction. His question to us is, are you okay with a patio home having a garage size of 440? And I think that if we're going to table this, staff needs to know what people's thoughts are, and if we need more time to figure that out, we can do that too.
I mean, what's your definition of a patio home?
Slab on grade, no basement.
Two-story, single-story?
Can be either.
Because what DCM Farms in these row homes had proposed is I believe they were three bedroom or four? Were they three?
Yeah, there's three. I don't know for sure on the four, but
yeah.
I can tell you what our preference would be.
But I look at that, and I look at either a young family. I look at maybe a single parent. They're going to have bikes. They're going to have stuff. They're going to have stuff. I'm in favor of a little bit bigger than what we have as our minimum.
You're talking the minimum 440?
Yes.
Period.
Yeah. I would like bigger than that. You can argue with me all day long on what the right size is. When we decided the 540, it was for the trash can at the point in time when we had trash cans inside, which that was the decision we made at that time and why we went that route. So I'm just giving you the history on that one, and
I don't disagree. Garages could be bigger, but I disagree that I don't think we should be distinguishing between basement and single-family home, even with the garbage can. If you have a single-family home with only a 440 garage, because that's the requirement, the garbage can is going in the garage. So to me, the connection to the basement is unrelated, and we're potentially hurting a buyer type that wants a patio home, slab-on-grade home, by requiring a bigger garage, because that could be not what they want, and ultimately it's their choice why they choose to buy or sell. And so from that perspective, I agree it could be bigger, but I think they should be the same, I guess is the way to say it, between whether you have a basement or not a basement.
I think what we could do is have direct staff, if we decide to table this, just to get some perspective on what the typical garage size is that a developer is proposing on their homes, that makes sense, right? So.
Did we close the public hearing?
We did.
I would like to know if the applicant, M&I's person has a little familiarity with this.
Oh, yeah.
Their
Person in the
opinion.
room.
I mean, we could
Does
probably.
We could ask him.
Jason, come on forward.
All right.
It's at least one person's opinion.
I'm
that builds
sure
them.
he has an
Well-
opinion.
I can,
And experience.
wanna hear
That's
it.
why
Well, the
I
other-
wanna hear it.
Yeah, me too.
The other thing, I mean, staff could also review other cities' codes and see what the minimum garage sizes are too, and that's gonna.
It's really, it's gonna be is what does the homeowner want and expect?
Correct.
What fits?
So Jason Beerwolf, 15651 Creekside Lane, Dayton, resident also. It goes to what that particular buyer wants in a home. You know, like my house, yes, I need more garage. In the case of the slab on grade villa, they don't necessarily want it, don't necessarily want to pay for it. It creates all sorts of different things. I think most of our plans get pretty close, and I think we may have been the ones who kind of brought this up or started it, but when reviewing it, we went to the R3, to the zoning, and said, hey, what do we need to build, how does this look? It's the 440, and we've adhered to that. When it goes to get to the 540, we struggle with just how it lays out, different things with that, and that particular buyer doesn't necessarily want the space. Maybe some do, some don't. If they do, you know, there's 3-car options available, and there's different things that they can purchase, but some don't want it.
What's a typical garage size on these types of slab on grade homes that you do anyway?
I'd say, you know, 20 by 20 is small, like on the smaller end, and then I think we're probably 440, and we have some that probably get up to over 5.
The ones in the packet are 480.
Okay, yes.
Just to give point of reference.
Yeah, but like we have
Yeah.
some of some of the villa, which would be not what tonight was about.
Right.
We have some of those with the smaller garage, just because some people want the smaller floor plan, they're downsizing.
Yeah.
They just don't, like, the whole idea for them is to get rid of stuff and, you know, head to this home for a different lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a different, I mean, and we're talking about, you know, brand new developments are going to be coming into the city from now till 10, 20 years from now, right? That all the farmlands are going to be developed with nice new single-family homes. So, and inevitably, some of those, or a good portion of those, will be slab on grade. And that will be a housing option that new owners would know they're getting themselves into when
Yep.
they purchase a property.
And that's our view on it, and, I mean, I definitely see Peter's, I mean, I know how it goes, we got tons of stuff in our garage, and it's like, but that's what we want, as a family, it's just this, so the villa buyer, maybe, you know, a single older gal, she does not need it, she's got one car, and it's more than she needs, it's just, but like, if she does want that 3-car option, she can buy it, or she can buy the bigger garage, but just having the minimum be set high is, I don't think is, I know what you're trying to achieve, I don't know if it's getting that.
And I think there's a couple things on the issue here is we've seen a lot of developers come in with the bare minimum every single time. And that's part of the problem of trying to increase the quality, increase what we as a city are, is trying to go above the minimum on some things.
Yeah, and like for us, like it's 480 on the,
Yep.
on the carriage style homes and like that, so like, we're not sitting there, it's just we have certain home types which we sell,
Yep.
and we've sold, and that wouldn't meet it, but that, you know, but they have other options, like if they're searching for a garage, they're definitely, you're not looking at a whole lineup of, you know, the bare minimum, I guess is what I would say is where we're at.
I guess I would suggest that it sounds to me like we want to table this, and then ask staff for some more direction on what the typical minimum garage size is. This to me sounds more of an exercise of what we want as a city as a minimum size garage, regardless if there's a basement or not. Just take that equation out, or that part of the equation out.
With that being said, we probably should have staff to check in see if other codes have clauses with basements.
Correct, yeah. And then just get an idea again of what that, the suitable minimum size garage would be in relation to what other cities are doing, and then what we're seeing as far as plans are coming in for garage sizes for new developments.
Yep.
There's still, and there's no answer to this, is even though whatever builders are being built, customers are buying them because that's what's offered, it's still an open-ended question of how big should a garage be?
Correct.
I think the bigger.
There's not going to be an answer.
We need some
question
goalposts,
is-
though. We need some ideas of what the average minimum size garage is, so we're not.
I mean, the bigger question is if we're gonna include this in our code, what's the minimum?
Right,
Yep.
because are we trying to have a separate code for attached versus detached homes? Are we trying to have a one-size-fits-all for detached homes, which seems like we should, because otherwise it's just gonna get complicated. But there's also the attached home size, that, should that be different? And normally, they're generally smaller than, like, if you got a 5-bedroom house, their garage would probably be bigger. But I don't know if I wanna go there in the code. I'd rather have a one-size-fits-all, and it's gonna be on the smaller end, unfortunately, and trust that the market's gonna build what they need.
And I'm okay going that route and revamping the other part of the code. I just didn't like eliminating this without addressing the
That
other
makes
part.
sense, yep.
If I could just throw in one more thing too, and I think sometimes with size of the garage, the facade requirements there, like even tonight with this 72, like that's also a factor that comes into play. If it's the aesthetics of it and how it looks, sometimes that additional square footage then also can,
Takes away
mess
from
with your
that,
facade and the different percentages with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I think the other direction for staff is we need to advertise for the other part of the code as well.
I mean, this is going to open up the whole
Correct.
garage discussion.
Yep.
So this will be very different posting.
Yep. Is this, from a timeliness standpoint, is this hanging anything up right now?
Yes,
Immediately?
yes.
That someone's gonna walk away, or they can wait a month?
Well, they're not going to have a choice.
Yeah.
So
I'm
The choice
more
is
just curious.
They don't have a basement.
I'm still okay with an action item, because and again, I get that there's some different opinions up here, but I just don't ever see the relationship between the basement and garage and why that was codified to begin with. So from that perspective, I am okay moving forward, but I completely understand because of the notifications and some other confusion that if people want to table it, I understand.
Where do you keep your camping gear?
In my basement.
Mine's in my garage. See, there's the difference
Do you
right
have
there.
stairs from your garage to your basement? I do.
But
So, again, but I designed my house, so.
I don't know that you can table an open meeting when you gotta change the open meeting.
I guess that's a very good point. I guess maybe my recommendation would be if this is the intent, you can recommend denial of this and then direct staff to prepare a new item.
Yeah, because tabling this would be, we would have to deny this request,
We would have to-
because
Well,
tabling it
we
is
would have to
moving this same request on to the next month.
unless we address the other part of the code first.
I was gonna say, this is really what your guys' argument that the public meeting was about, was this right here.
But the presentation was all about the other
I
part of
understand
the
that,
code.
but you could still do this, right? And then fix the other part of the code.
Well, okay, so
do that, then
one
we're
thing,
allowed
the
to
plan
440.
commission is a recommending body. So let's say if the council approves this amendment, reduces the garage size, minimum garage size from 540 to 440, and takes out that conflict, and then we come back the next month and say, okay, now the minimum garage size is 500. It kind of defeats the purpose of this amendment.
Well, it doesn't, but it doesn't address, though, I get what you're saying. It doesn't address, our minimum currently would be the 540, and it doesn't address that portion of it. It goes down to 440 for a month, and then we bring it back up to 500 or whatever we change it to. Yeah.
There's a duplication in there.
Yeah.
So one question on some of the direction, do you have any concerns with the ag district, or are we only focused on the R1 through, I mean, it's
GMU 5 or whatever it
GMU
was
5?
in the
Is there
table.
any concerns with apartments?
No.
Apartments are gonna be, like, I believe we require underground parking, correct?
Yes.
We do not allow detached garage, in our current code.
Correct, and we look at a parking stall as being the minimum in a parking garage, the 10 by 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And that-
don't, yeah, that's.
Okay, so we won't look at apartments, we won't look at.
If anything with
agricultural
apartments, because we keep hearing it over and over, is do we have to go down to 9? Just to make our life easier,
Yeah.
because we keep granting all these exceptions, and if that's what we're okay with, why not amend it?
Okay, so we can look at apartments too.
I mean, again, I'm okay moving forward, but if I'm in the minority, I completely get it, because there's confusion, but I'm okay moving forward, there's other people that want to move forward. I think that's what needs to be done, is to strike the basement clause, and if we want to amend some other stuff later, we can, completely understand.
If I can make a recommendation of having someone make a motion and just seeing what is the support for that, whichever the motion's gonna be.
I hate to make a motion and put everyone on the spot if there's not, but if that's where we're at in this discussion, I guess we can, because then we know the next step is table, but I'd rather just do it once, but if that's what we want to do.
I'll say it this way. If we strike this right now, we go down to 440. Without having a discussion, is 440 the right number to go down to? That's where I'm gonna deny a motion to strike this tonight, because we didn't have that part of the discussion of what is the minimum then.
Yeah.
Because here it's 540, there it's 440.
So in my brain,
But if we were to strike it completely, I'm denying it. If we are approving it, whatever, yeah.
so in my mind, the 440 is already approved, because that's what everything else already is. We're just getting rid of the basement requirement. I mean, I don't think, like, if we need to revisit the 440, I completely understand where you're coming from, but to me, the precedence is already set, as we put 440 in our code for a single-family home.
And then it says if you have if you don't
Right,
have a
and that's what
basement,
we're
you have to go
striking.
bigger.
And that's what we're striking.
And
So to me, if we strike it, that means we're going back to what the code is for everyone else. So to me, that's why I'm not concerned about that, I guess, is because of that. We've already set the precedence with 440.
I'm just saying it doesn't allow us to, we're gonna have a harder time increasing it from 440 versus if we address it all at once.
If we address the 440, the parking stall size for like apartments, whatever, I mean, that's all can be something that can be separately addressed. But, so to me, that's why I'm okay moving forward, is I think the 440 is established as a single-family home, and I never understood, no offense, I never understood of why discriminate whether you have a basement or no basement, because it's about a buyer choice. So, all right, I'm gonna give it a try. With that being said, we'll see I respect all you guys, so no worries here. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the city code as amended by staff.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Darren and a second from Paul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
No.
I didn't vote.
We'll give you a second.
No, I'll support the motion as an aye.
Okay, so we have 3 ayes and 2 nays.
This will go to the
This will go
city
to the
council
council.
on June 23rd.
8 city code items.
I know.
They will
And
enjoy
and
listening
again,
to
this
conversation
doesn't,
prior to
first
the
of all,
meeting.
it still needs to be approved by the city council, and the city attorney would still have to make sure that everything was copacetic as far as how it was addressed, how it was notified to the public. They'll understand our concerns as a planning commission, and then it does not shut the door for future discussions on whether 440 is a suitable minimum garage size. So we could certainly have that conversation in the future. And perhaps that's something that staff should do, is still look at those requirements, and then at a future meeting, bring together a proposal for us to look at.
So kind of the request that staff makes to council is that we don't do anything unless we have at least 2 requests by council members or by commissioners, so that you don't have, a pet project by one commissioner. So I guess if the commission would like this, I'm looking for direction from at least, from the commissioner, at least more than one.
Do you want to make a motion? You can vote on it.
Sure, I'll make a motion for
Staff.
a future item.
Or for staff to look at.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion for staff to look into requirements of what other cities do to put together an ordinance if needed for future discussion on minimum garage sizes.
We have a motion. I'll second.
By all means.
So there, you
So,
got,
quick discussion. I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. I just think that we're gonna use staff's time, and we're gonna come back and be somewhere between 440 and 460, and we'll probably end up going back to 440, because if it's a one-size-fits-all, it's just what's gonna happen. If we make it real complex and start trying to get fancy, it's gonna be even more cumbersome.
I think the reason for the exercise is because we did just recommend eliminating a minimum garage size of 540.
For homes without a basement.
It's still a minimum garage size
It was
requirement.
very specific type of property.
Correct.
but I think we could look at, I think encompassed with that, we could look at, like you said, Darren, trying to get one code that works for all of our home types. And I think that's the direction of staff that I'm leaning, is like one code, doesn't matter what product you have.
And my only hesitation is I want to make sure we're making valuable use of staff's time. And I say valuable meaning, there's not going to be a right answer here. It's going to be an arbitrary number. And to me, a lot of us would want bigger garages. But
So we had a motion and a second to have staff look into this. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
Name.
All right, 3-2.
3-2.
They're not a pet project. All right.
Yeah, it could very well
John,
be
I
that
might
it
have some
comes
more
back.
motions in the future now.
Yeah.
Moving on to item 9A, notices and announcements.
We're just getting started now. Okay. I know that this is new. It's on every slideshow. The city has an app for smartphones. This is how we push out information in a very quickly manner. And I'm asked if the commissioners have this, and I believe all of you have said that you do. Go next.
No, we haven't all said that.
True. Is there someone that doesn't have the app on their phone?
I don't have it on my phone.
Play Place is every Tuesday at the Activity Center. We have Dice and Dominoes at the Activity Center on the second and fourth Wednesday of the month. We have an embedded social worker who is available to the public on the third Wednesdays a month at the police department. Shared Water and Shared Futures. This is a conglomerate of different organizations that are celebrating the cleanliness of the Mississippi River through different events through the month of June. Community survey, so this was presented at the City Council's May 26th meeting. Just real briefly, it would be worth anyone's time to watch this. Peter Leatherman was the, I'm going to call him the surveyor that conducted the community-wide survey. His presentation was about 45 minutes long, puts a lot more context into the results of the survey versus just reading it in the staff report. So Peter Leatherman will be putting together a more formal report on it, and once that's completed, I'll share it with the commission. A couple of slides on here. The one on the left is what residents like most about the city. Can't read that. Grace, if you could-
Yeah, from top to bottom on the top five.
Just the
Oh.
top five.
Top five, yeah. Quiet and peaceful, close to family and friends, housing, land, schools, safe.
And then on the right, this is kind of, I'm going to call it the Goldilocks graphic of where, do we have too much or too little or about right of whatever these amenities are. What the respondents are saying we need more of is starter homes that are under $300,000, more assisted living, more one-level housing, and more job-producing businesses. Advisory Commission. So as the commission may know, 2 of your terms are up. The city is collecting applications for planning commissioners. Would encourage the 2 that are up to reapply. Applications are due on Monday, June 15th. We also do have a commission opening on the Park Commission as well. Same deadline.
Do we know which ones are up?
I do, and so I'm going to apologize for not notifying. So it is Jeff and Darren.
Okay.
Right side of the.
Yeah.
Citywide garage sale is this weekend. If you use the app, you can also get access to a map of where these garage sales are located, so which is the map at the right. Dayton Community Car Show, 6 weekends in August. The big one will be August 7th, which will be the River Fest.
Keith, you gonna be there tomorrow night?
Is it gonna rain tomorrow night?
Is it gonna rain?
If it's not raining, he'll be there. Our son-in-law.
Adopt a park, the majority of the parks in the city are available for adoption. Those that are adopting a park are asked to pick up litter once per month. Repaving projects for 2026. We have on the left here, we have the map of those projects. This week of June 1st is the milling of bituminous and paving. Not sure where we're at on schedule for that. Maybe a little behind.
No, I think they're generally on there, Dylan, working in the Wick Industrial in Holly Lane right now.
The Diamond Lake Improvement Association, so the association is treating curly leaf pondweed at Diamond Lake. They are handling this and providing notices to the affected property owners along the lake. The Dayton EDA is providing an opportunity to sponsor flower pots in the Old Village. It's $125 per year. If anyone is interested in, please let me know. Sponsor a dog treat station is a $780 donation per year. If you have an interest in this, it would be contacting Public Works. Elevate Hennepin is a program that's sponsored by the Dayton EDA. They provide consulting, up to 25 hours of free consulting services to generally newer and smaller businesses. The Dayton EDA continues to market land for sale in the Old Village. The EDA's vision is for more of a mixed-use project. The property is for sale for $259,000. I think the way that this is going to be developed is really going to be through personal relationships and word of mouth with someone that may know of someone that can do this project. So that's why I keep advertising for this. The EDA is also selling or marketing a piece of property on Dayton Parkway, 6.6 acres. The EDA is entertaining offers up until this coming Monday, June 8th. Voting information. We have the mayor and 2 council members that will be up for election in November. The candidate filings had just closed this week. We have 2 candidates for mayor and then 4 candidates for city council. For early voting, so this is a change from previous years. Early option voting can be done by mail, in person at Hennepin County beginning June 26th, or at City Hall beginning July 26th. And then our monthly chart for new housing starts in the month of May. We had 33 new home permits or single-family home permits were issued. We're on an uptick from previous months. So typically we see about 20 homes per month. There's certain ups and downs. We're definitely on an up right now.
Any speculation on what may be attributed to that timing of the year?
More land available. With DCM Farms, the first edition, there's several homes that are being constructed currently, as well as with Brayburn Trails East Edition, and then I think it's
Riverwalk, yeah.
Riverwalk.
Yeah.
So we have 3 large projects that are under construction where those lots were not available last year. Next planning commission will be Thursday, July 9th. As the commission is aware, our meeting always falls on the 4th of July calendar, and so back in January, I believe it was, the commission voted to move it back a week. The tentative agenda, so we have Sundance Green's 12th edition. This is an amendment to their preliminary plat PUD. We have the Parkway neighborhood that will be coming back for an amendment to their preliminary plat. Dayton Automotive, which is a new business that will be located on Territorial Road. Moratorium on non-residential development adjacent to residential development. So this relates to the recently approved assisted living facility that's adjacent to single family, as well as the discussion with the Oppidan concept plan for an industrial building adjacent to the mobile home park. And then I'm hoping that at that same meeting, we'll also have a draft ordinance that would address those setbacks. This is probably a difficult ordinance. I don't think there's a right answer to it, but we've got to start somewhere. And then we'll see if we can get garages on it.
All right. With that.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I know.
We got a motion from
Waiting to
Paul
see
and a
if there's
second from Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? We are adjourned.